I've been meaning to make a video about this movie for a very long time, ever since I saw it back in 2017. Because whenever I go online and there's a discussion about underrated movies or gems that you might have missed when they first came out, this film is always there somewhere, and I don't quite understand why. I don't like this movie, but that's not the point of this video. This movie isn't very good. The best way I can describe it is as a mediocre Law & Order SVU episode. There are certain aspects that are much better, of course, the cinematography, the production value and all of that, but the writing and everything about the story, the characters and the sequence of events, it's all just so generic that for the life of me, I don't understand why people consider this film to be underrated. The premise is about finding out who raped and killed or got a teenage girl killed, and this is where the Law & Order part comes from. The premise is textbook SVU, so you would think that the movie would distinguish itself with its main characters, compelling dialogue, and maybe an interesting mystery story. Only you'd be wrong, there's nothing close to that here. Instead of unique, convincing characters and an interesting storyline to go along with them, we have the most generic, bland people without any remarkable characteristics or interesting personalities. A side story that is one gigantic cliche. Turns out one of the main characters also had a daughter who died in similar circumstances. They never specify how she died, but they also don't bother at being subtle about this comparison. It's all over the place. Whenever there's an opportunity to bring this up, the film brings it up, very casually. They really want to make you feel like this is a personal case for the characters, even if said characters are themselves lackluster and forgettable. The dialogue doesn't help, it's really weak, mostly copy-paste generic statements that don't resonate with you, since they're also incredibly vague and devoid of authenticity, like in this scene.
Yeah, you can drag me through Pinedale with a rope.
Never set foot in that town again.
Well, good luck, okay?
Her line of dialogue is just a contrived way of shoehorning information about their dead daughter, and their monotonous performances make everything worse. She's barely making any facial expressions, kinda reminds me of a Terminator, and his reaction is so disconnected from what she said that you could probably cut his part from this scene entirely and paste it somewhere else. What they should have done, besides giving better performances, was having him not say anything at all and then leave with a weak smile of goodbye upon his face. Different from the one he gave, that was more of a whatever smile, the one you give your relatives as an easy way out of a conversation you don't want to have. And this is just one example. There are other moments where characters act less like humans and more like dialogue dispensers, like they only exist to regurgitate whatever lines of dialogue they had to memorize, no matter how bland and generic those lines are. A bit disappointing considering this is the same guy that wrote Sicario, but then again, Sicario's worst aspect by far was the writing, so it's not really that surprising.
So no matter how far you think she ran, I can guarantee you she ran further.
Okay.
The whole film suffers from lackluster writing. 15 minutes in and there's nothing interesting happening. I was a bit curious about the girl who died, but Hawkeye, the other characters and everything that had happened so far was so mind-boggling tedious that there's hardly a movie here. Nothing is bad per se, it's all just devoid of personality. Nothing grabs your attention. The visuals are nice, it's a good natural look of the environment, but everything else is so bland and unengaging that it makes you wonder if a Marvel director was behind all of this. It's all very pretty and very hollow. This film has no depth. None of the characters are strong enough to make you care, and the mystery of who raped the girl is completely butchered by having every piece of evidence they need to solve the case lay on their laps. It was easy to the point where the only real challenge they faced was making sure they had enough men to make an arrest, that the bad guys didn't get the upper hand and killed all the good guys. That was the only real obstacle. And since this movie is filled with contrived scenarios to generate drama, it's obvious that they didn't have enough men, and we have an action scene. And that brings us to the only noteworthy thing this film has to offer. All the action scenes are surprisingly great. The sound of gunfire comes off like real gunfire, and not cheap sound effects that you may find on YouTube. The blood, from what I remember, is never CGI nonsense. It looks real, authentic, and visceral. The movie does a fantastic job with its action scenes. It was a real surprise. The downside is that the meat of this film was supposed to be the characters and the story, not just some well-executed action scenes. That should have been the icing on the cake instead of the only thing that's worth eating. I'm giving Wind River a 5 out of 10. The story is the definition of meh, as are its characters. The direction is okay, I guess, pretty much on par with most Marvel movies. Nothing extraordinary, except for the action scenes, but nothing terrible either. And the visuals are nice, but that's not enough to make this film underrated. It Comes at Night is underrated. Happy End by Michelle Haneke is underrated. This is just generic crap. Even Sicario is more underrated than this. Anyway, see you next time.